There's a part of everyone that wants to relentlessly pursue and go after and persist in whatever their calling is. And at the same time, there's a part of us that is simply content and complete, at peace with where we are now, with this moment. All is here. I don't have to go get anything. So to find balance between these two aspects, we could say the masculine and the feminine. The masculine that wants to just engage in action for the sake of it, not necessarily to get anything out of it, not an outcome-oriented, result-oriented mindset, but simply unconditional service, realizing that every life is serving every other life in a unique way, in their own way. And when they obey, they listen to that inner guidance. You don't even say voice. It doesn't have to be a voice. It doesn't necessarily have to speak in concepts. It's simply, we could say, one receives intuitive nudges to go this way, my child, go that way. And as we obey this, there's peace. And at the same time, there's so much energy. How can we contain it all? It's got to express in action. No one can sit 24 hours in meditation. I've yet to meet such a person. To maintain an aliveness, an alertness, full presence of consciousness, well, simply sitting in stillness. Yes, there's got to be balance. It's good to be able to engage in that process at will. But we don't want to be limited to that process. To be limited to meditation. To say, hey, that's the only way. That's part of the way. But really, meditation is a way of life. It's not something that you have to set aside for a certain... You don't have to block off a certain time for the day to say, I'm going to meditate at this time. But actually, it's something that you carry with you throughout everything, even intense physical activity, even at the gym. Perhaps really long planks, just to open our mind up to possibilities, limitless possibilities. The other day I was researching, I'm like, I can do a really long plank. At least what I thought was for a long time. And then I looked up the world record. And the world record is over 9 hours. A guy doing a plank, not breaking it. So just certain facts like this are very humbling. And I love running. And I'm very good at it. However, and I know to only compare myself to myself. At the same time, it's inspiring to look at what other people have achieved that have run 200-mile races and things that seem very far-fetched to the average person. Let's say Wim Hof hiking the Himalayas, barefoot, no shirt, pretty much naked, extreme temperatures, but not subject to the environment. At the same time, the environment plays a key part in our early development. But we don't have to cling to that and remain in that mindset of our early days. We can evolve from this and this is where inspiration comes into play. People's stories, looking where they've come from, the transformation, admiring how they played the cards they were dealt. No one wants to have a victim mentality, mindset, being at the effect of the world. Because when you realize yourself as the source, the cause, then you realize you are 100% responsible. I am responsible. And thus you take complete ownership of all that happens. Even things that are out of your hands, that you couldn't have predicted, that seem unfair. Still, you take responsibility. Because actually the only thing that you can control is how you respond to those things. Sometimes life will throw you curveballs. I know I've been thrown many curveballs. And how I responded to such curveballs a couple years ago is completely different than how I would now. And that's because of growth. And I'm very grateful that there are people in the world that share their inner process of growth via creative endeavor, creative activity, creative expression, through transmutation, through sharing their God-given life energy via the spoken word, some art form. Really, this whole earth, this whole planet is a big canvas in which God is continuously molding his divine play. This wonderful dream, which I'm honored to be a part of with you. And isn't it wonderful to simply look at everything as a dream? It's very liberating. Because then you don't take yourself too seriously. You don't take things personally. And at the same time, you involve yourself completely, sincerely, with life. There's the willingness to engage wholeheartedly. No gifts ungiven. At the same time, although your whole heart is in it, there's no strings attached. Because it doesn't come from a place of neediness. And thus there's no detachment. Or, I should say, no attachment. And at the same time, there's no detachment. Because, again, you want to be involved. You can be involved in a way that's not detached. Detached is not unfazed is a better word. Sovereign is a wonderful word. Because when you're energetically sovereign, there's no neediness, no dependence. There's a simple willingness to engage with the life process. And when all is perceived as the same essence, which is coming through you, is continuous, then there's no resistance. There's a certain grace in your presence. There's no personality to take credit for this. It's simply an isness, an all-pervadingness, a spaciousness throughout all of this wonderful existence. And thus there's bliss. Because you don't take yourself so serious. Although at times it's wonderful to be very grave and solemn and stern. And it's part of the play. It's part of the beauty of today. Living for today. Like I said, not being outcome oriented. Simply doing, serving for the sake of being involved in this wonderful human life we've been given. When that is our intention, to unswervingly serve, results are inevitable, or natural. I should use before that word results, plentiful results, good results, mutually beneficial results. Because, ironically, when our motive is just to serve unconditionally, there's not really any ambition personally, then things find their way to us. Without having to seek and go get. But at the same time, there's that part of us that can be hard to tame. Definitely don't want to suppress it. And thus, I express it. I think that's it. The beauty, the spontaneity of life. You try to grasp it, cling to it, plan it. But really, there's no duality present. Duality is not reality. I am all that surrounds me.